Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello dear friends, welcome to Spiritism and the Media here on Kardec Radio. Today I would like to bring to us a text from the book The Gospel According to Spiritism by Allan Kardec. This text is on chapter 10, Blessed are the Merciful, and it is by the Spirit St. Louis. And the reason I brought this text here is because I think we can, even though this text was channeled in 1860, I think it is very important for us to read and to bring those teachings for us today, especially when we are talking one more time. I'd like to bring the topic social media here, especially on Instagram, for example. You're going to see why. So let's read the text, and then I will ask us to make this comparison and to think a little bit about how we can apply this text to the world we live in, especially in the relationships that we have on social media. So it is chapter 10 from the Gospel According to Spiritism, number 20. And here, so Kardec asks, "It is reprehensible to observe the imperfections of others, even if there cannot be any profit of them, and if one does not disclose them." So the first point here, before we read the answer by the Spirit St. Louis, let's think a little bit about what Kardec is asking and how we can bring that question to our world today. So Kardec is asking if it is reprehensible to observe the imperfections of others. And it is something that all of us, we do that. No matter when, no matter how, we look at others' imperfections. And that's the point that I wanted to bring for the social media, because on social media it's easier in a kind of way for us to look at the imperfections of, at least depending on our mood, depending on the person that we are checking there, we may go directly to the imperfections instead of looking at what the person has to bring to us, the goodness that the person has to bring to us and the message that the person wants to bring. So it's very easy for us to judge, for us to see if the person is actually somehow in a very reprehensible way. Let's suppose today, for example, with the pandemic, if we look at a picture of someone in the middle of a crowded place without a mask, we're going to see that and to judge that and to try to see that person with some kind of bad eyes or evil eyes. So we do that a lot. And at the time of Kardec, they did that a lot. It's something that society, humanity in general, since the beginning of the times, we've been doing that. We've been judging and seeing others' imperfections. So let's see what the Spirit St. Louis has to say about that. So this is the answer that he gives to Kardec. "It all depends on one's intention. Certainly it is not forbidden to see evil where evil exists. It would even be inconvenient to see only good everywhere. Such an illusion would hinder progress." So first point here is he's saying, okay, it's okay to see evil if evil really exists. So the first point is, how do we see if evil exists? Because sometimes what we see, what we judge, what we point out is not evil. It's something that we consider evil, something that we consider bad, and sometimes we are just trying to see that, to point out that, just to make the person look inferior to our own eyes. So the first point here is for us to point evil. We need to be certain that it is evil, so we need to know what evil is. And the other one is the first point he brings is the one's intention, the person's intention. Why am I pointing that out? Why am I seeing that? Why sometimes the first thing that comes to my mind when I see that image is that imperfection? So that's something that we need to ask ourselves in order for us to be able to follow this message accordingly. And he goes on, he says, "What is wrong is to turn this observation for the detriment of others, by decrying it unnecessarily in public opinion. So let's suppose that I'm like on Instagram and I see a picture and I see the person doing something that I think it's wrong, something that I think the person should not be doing, and I go there and reply to the message, like write a comment and pointing that out. So what am I doing? I'm doing exactly what St. Louis says, that I'm decrying it unnecessarily in public opinion. So I'm making it public instead of just going to the person, reaching out the person and say, see what you did, that I think, why don't you think twice before posting that? Why don't you think twice before acting that way? But instead of doing that, I'm going on public and showing out that to everyone. And St. Louis says, it would still be reprehensible to do it only to indulge ourselves with a feeling of malevolence and joy for finding others in fault. So many times we do that. We point out that just to think, okay, that person, maybe I think that person is superior to me, and I do that, I point out those mistakes or those evildoers, let's say that, just as a way for me to feel superior to that person. So it's something only for my ego. It's something that's not helping the person at all. It's not helping me at all. So we need always to think about that and to try to understand, like to make that question to ourselves. Why am I doing that? Let's ask that. Why am I pointing that out? Why that is the something that comes to my eye? So I can analyze myself instead of trying to judge the other. And he goes on and he says, it's quite different when by throwing when throwing a veil on someone's evil before the public, one contents oneself with observing it for personal gain. That is to say, studying oneself to avoid what one blames in others. So it's something that, okay, I may observe that if I'm checking out those pictures, those posts, those videos, and if I see something that the person is doing that I think I shouldn't do, okay, now by seeing that person doing that, I understand that I do the same, and it's not okay. So I am the one who should change. So like we are watching others, observing others in order for us to become better persons, in order for us to improve. So in this way, he's saying it is okay, we can do that. So actually, we are learning by observation. So it's something that we can do and we must do, as he's saying that. So it's quite different if we are doing that to judge others, or we are just observing that in order for us to improve. So I see that I have that flaw too. I have that mistake within me too. So I need to change. I'm the one who needs to change. And he ends saying, might this observation prove useful for the moralist? How would the latter be able to paint the flaws of humanity without studying examples? So it is okay for we to study examples in order for us to change. But it's very different if we are just watching all others, we are just observing the others' acts, the others' attitudes, for us to judge them, to point that out, and to make the others feel inferior. So that's a very interesting point that I wanted us to study and to try to understand, because it's very common, especially today, when we have easy access to other people's life, when we talk about social media, and we can go there and we can actually see what they're doing, where they're going, how they act, at least how they show they are acting to the world. But by doing that, it's very easy for us to fall and to just criticize without trying actually to apply those observations that we see to ourselves. So it's a very important topic that St. Louis brings to us and Kardec brings to us here in the Gospel according to Spiritism, and it shows how important it is for us to bring that information, to bring the knowledge from the 1800s to our daily lives today, and to try to apply that in our daily lives. So as usually, I have here the book Happy Life for us to read before we finish here the program. So I'm going to open it randomly. And here we go. Happy Life by Joana de Angelis, channeled by Divaldo Franco. And we have here the lesson 139. Some people use truth as a weapon to attack others. Truth, however, reflects a magnificent light that promotes understanding, which never harms or hurts. Like bread, it must be ingested in proper amounts, or like water, which should be drunk in the right amounts. As truth nourishes and quenches, it appeases and satisfies, enriching those whom it penetrates with understanding and kindness. Never use it harshly as a weapon to destroy others. Otherwise, it loses its purpose, setting one free. So it's a very good complement to the lesson that we just learned. So let's always think about how we use the truth, if it is used by a way to weapon to destroy others or not, like by connecting these teachings with the example that we read, the lesson that we read in the book, The Gospel According to Spiritism, we can see and we can ask ourselves, how am I using this truth that I have on my hands? So thank you so much for your company. May God be with all of us. See you next week.